how do you even begin to explain the impact of suicide on a family? You know, I was 17 turning 18. My mother had just been fired from Fox. Our lives were shattered and it just went one worse. I mean, what are the words for the impact?
I walk past Edgar's pictures. I feel such sadness, such darkness.
Lifesavers meant a tremendous amount to my mother. It was the first time she realized, I think, how many people were out there that had been touched by suicide and that it was important to talk about it.
Joan Rivers first got involved with AFSP the year we were formed in 1987. That was the year that she lost her husband, Edgar. And one of our founders actually reached out to Joan and contacted her, and from that point on, Joan was an active supporter and friend of AFSP.
We spoke out publicly about suicide and surviving it very early, especially at a time when it was something that was still such a taboo.
In 1987, people just didn't talk about suicide, and Joan Rivers was one of the first to be very open about her loss and that we needed more prevention. And it just opened up the conversation about suicide, really for the first time.
Lifesavers was very appealing to her. We were some of the first celebrities to come out and say, almost proudly, we are suicide survivors.
There is something very special about Joan Rivers. There isn't anything she can say that doesn't have humor and make us laugh. And this was a serious subject, but you know, she used humor in a way to help other survivors and to have them understand that there is life after suicide loss. And it was just so helpful to others who had lost a loved one.
I find if you tell the truth, people will understand you on stage much better. When I finally came back after my husband killed himself, I went on stage the first time, and it was a very big room in Las Vegas, and you knew that they knew what was wrong. So I just walked out and said, my husband killed himself. First joke. And it was my fault. We were making love, and I took the bag off my head.
The last time we've gotten to work with Joan was in 2011 when she and Melissa hosted our Lifesavers Gala. And I could tell you that night she was talking with others in the audience, very open to other survivors who had lost a loved one, about how she could help them. I mean, she was just so engaged. And that was Joan Rivers, really engaged in our issue. She truly is a lifesaver.
It's so important going forward with Lifesavers that we continue to destigmatize suicide. We are survivors. We are survivors of something that is horrible and tragic. And we shouldn't run away from continuing the conversation about A, how to prevent, and B, how to survive. We're all in this very sort of crappy, unique club, but we're still a club, and we gotta keep sharing and getting people to understand that there's nothing wrong with us, that we're good, that we're moving forward, and talking about it is the most important thing we can do.